What's up YouTube, Demi here with a Path of Nerfs community manifesto post by Grinding Gear Games. So this is a 3.1 post detailing all of the nerfs that they're going to be doing, the big nerfs. They're going to give us good explanations of why they're nerfing them. And we're going to go over that together so we can understand it and learn. Ready, set, go. Path of Nerfs by Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. As developers, we're not afraid to nerf game elements that are too powerful and are harming Path of Exile. Unfortunately, patch notes are not the best way to communicate these nerfs because their format and information density makes it hard to include sufficient explanation. You got that right. It's very difficult to explain everything in a patch notes post at once. In today's manifesto, we have highlighted and explained most of the significant nerfs in 3.1. Of course, there are plenty of buffs in 3.1 as well, but we'll leave those as pleasant surprises in tomorrow's full patch notes. I'll be doing a video over that as well, but I want to get this out as soon as possible. The VAAL PACT Keystone. Being able to leech instantly meant that many threats were completely mitigated by high damage, fast-hitting characters with minimal leech investment. VAAL PACT has been changed to no longer grant instant leech, but instead doubles your character's leech rate and maximum leech rate. This was one of the most heavily requested nerfs in the history of Path of Exile. This keystone is still powerful, but now really benefits from investment in leech. So we don't know anything else about ascendancies or like the rest of the skill tree changes, but this means that Slayer is going to be insane. If the positioning is what they showed in the IGN video, VAAL PACT is like right here on the skill tree. And all the leech nodes are like maximum attack leech per second are right here. There's 3 nodes plus Slayer's ascendancy on the top right claw. So the way life leech works real quick is that you'd have a percentage of your damage leeched as life through attack leech or through like lightning leech or fire leech, whatever, right? So the default life leech cap of life leech per second, or sorry, maximum life leech per second is 20% of your life pool. So in this character's case, it would be around 100 life per second. You pick up this node, it gives you an additional 5%, so it puts you up to 25% of your maximum life leech, which would be what, 120 life per second. And you pick up these two, which gives you another 8%, so that puts us up to a total of 33% of your life leeched per second, which I can't do math, I think that's like 16 and a half. So, sorry, 165 life a second. Those are the only 2 nodes on the skill tree that have maximum, I'm sorry, the only 3 nodes on the skill tree that have maximum life leeched per second. So, if you go Slayer, on the right side of the claw, it's normally like, it's a claw with 2 little bits on the ends. This top right one has a 10% bonus, so that puts you up to 43% of your maximum life leeched per second, which in this case is, what, 220-ish so? 215? So if you pick up all of them, and VAAL PACT, you would go up to 86% of your maximum life leech per second. That's not instant, but that's very close to it. That's like, what, 430 or so life leech per second on this character? Now this per second, it's not instant, it's not like per hit like VAAL PACT was, but that's pretty insane. With Slayer's overkill leech lasting around 30 seconds, you're going to be healing to full ridiculously fast constantly. So we may see the removal of Berserker VAAL PACT meta, but we're probably going to see the incoming like rise of Slayer VAAL PACT meta. So the next thing is Xeria's Acuity. Acuity has been changed to instead grant VAAL PACT if you performed a critical strike recently, giving it a slightly different use when compared with the VAAL PACT Keystone. It now fills a different role to its previous one and acts as a way for you to avoid some of the downsides of the VAAL PACT Keystone. I actually really like that, because if VAAL PACT is here, all these trees that are like based on the top and the top left and right sides of the tree, traveling way down here for VAAL PACT, especially as like a spellcaster, these are attack leech nodes. You don't want to go this far down, and you don't really get any spell damage or like crit for spells or anything on this side of the tree, other than maybe some life. So it's not really worth traveling down there. If you use Acuities, and you reliably enough to perform the critical strike recently, which is in the past 4 seconds, that means you get the keystone. So that's a huge benefit for top side of the tree builds, as well as making Acuities kind of unique. Like, it's not instant leech on crits anymore, and this doesn't say if they're going to go legacy or not, but that's pretty cool. And I think it's a unique way to make them still a chase item. I think they're going to be very chase for casters now. We don't really have any chase uniques right now other than Headhunter, so I think that's awesome. Oh, here we go. Here's something about Slayer. The Brutal Fervor Ascendancy skill no longer grants maximum life leech rate. We just talked about that. It used to give 10%. So that's gone. Hematophagy and a Vitality Void now only grant 3% maximum life leech rate from 5%. So so my numbers are now 20% plus 3 plus 3, so you're at 26% maximum life leech rate. They didn't mention this node. So if this is 3%, this is 3%, and this is 3%, that's 9% total. I don't know if this is changed or not. They didn't mention this node. So that means you could get a total of 29% life leech per second. Slayer's totally gone, which means that you would get a total of 58% life leech per second with VAAL PACT, which is around 290 per second. That's pretty good. Not as good as it would have been, but still pretty good. We might still see the Slayer meta, guys. Don't worry. As a result of the changes to VAAL PACT, other sources of leech were also examined. Brutal Fervor was identified as a problem, more so after the changes of VAAL PACT, as it was the next closest thing to instant leech. Damn, they're ahead of me, man. They're ahead of the game. We didn't want to change what made Slayer the Slayer, but we were okay with it taking a small hit given its dominance over the 3.0 ladders. Interesting. I thought the dominating classes were like Pathfinder, Berserker, and Necromancer. But I guess Slayer made a pretty good showing. Good job, guys. I'm glad you all enjoyed the peak of flying purple people lacerate Slayer. Alright, next thing. Mind over matter. The mana bonus granted by the passive skills behind this keystone have been reduced. The mana granted was very high, especially at lower levels. This keystone is currently at a power level where further mana investment is still worthwhile. That's totally fair. Like, it was these 4 nodes, 12%, 12%, 40%, like that's, what, 64% mana plus 100 flat? If you compare that to any other 3-point mana cluster, like this is 8, 10, and 25, so what is that? 35, 42% mana with no flat? Like, it's not even close. So people that weren't even Mind Over Matter, like Energy Shield builds, like Energy Shield mana stacking Guardians, they were taking these 4 points because they were so efficient point-wise that even though you lose this node because you don't really get a benefit from it, you're getting so much extra mana out of it that it's still worth taking. So they reduced that, but it means that you're still going to want to take this cluster if you're going Mind Over Matter, obviously, and it means that if you invest heavily into mana, like, it makes more sense that you would invest otherwise, except for these 4 nodes. Like, you want to invest more than these 4 nodes to make sure that you get the full benefits of Mind Over Matter. I think that's good. That makes sense. Alright, Vulnerability, Despair, and Wither. Vulnerability is now a strength gem focused on physical damage, bleed, and maim. Despair is a new intelligence gem that will replace existing copies of Vulnerability. It reduces chaos resistance, increases damage over time taken, and grants added chaos to hits against cursed enemies. Okay, that's interesting. This gem is not counted as the 10 new ones in 3.1. Wither now has a lower stack limit, 15 down from 20%, and slightly lower damage taken effect per stack, 6% per stack down from 7%. So previously, Vulnerability is it's a blue gem. Currently, let me get to my stash. Hopefully I have one on hand. I didn't really look at this. Uh-oh, I don't have one. Carp. Okay, I don't have one on hand. Well, it's a blue gem, right? And it does what this says: physical damage taken, damage over time. Like, it gave you all those bonuses, but it's an intelligence gem. That didn't really make sense for a physical damage boosting gem to be a blue gem, so they changed it to be a red gem, which makes sense. And now we get a new one that is also, like, that is the new version that's a red strength gem. I think that makes sense too. As for the Wither changes, before it was 20 times 7. If you had enough casting speed and skill effect duration, you get 140% increased chaos damage taken, which is a huge more multiplier to your overall damage. But it's been reduced to 15 and 6% per stack, so what is that, 75% increased damage taken? That's almost a 50% nerf to how much damage you can deal extra with Wither. But, I mean, there's no reason for that modifier to be that high. Like, Shock, which used to be the best more multiplier for, like, random damage types, was 50% increased damage taken. Nowhere near Wither's 140% damage taken, so I think toning that down is totally fair. Wither increased cast damage taken by enemies much more than was reasonable for an easily totem-ifiable non-damage skill. He split some of his damage bonus off into the new Despair curse, taking this opportunity to realign Vulnerability as a strength-based curse, as was more appropriate for a physical damage improving effect. As mentioned previously, old copies of the Vulnerability gem will become Despair with the release of 3.1. So if you have a 21-20 Vulnerability, it just becomes a 21-20 Despair. That's great. I like that. Witchfire Brew now applies Despair. Okay. It used to apply Vulnerability and damage over time, but now it's going to apply the chaos resistance, damage over time taken, and added chaos hits against cursed enemies, as well as the damage over time, I would think. I would assume this means that they don't go Legacy because they're just changing the skill gem itself, which would change the curse effect on Witchfire Brew. Which is good, I like that. Dark Pact. Dark Pact cast, using your life no longer has bonus radius, and the damage bonus has been reduced from 95% more damage with hits and ailments while using your life to 76% more damage. That's a 19% less damage modifier to that. I think that's fine. Dark Pact was insanely powerful with very minimal investment, and it was deleting the entire game, as well as abusing the Berserker VAAL PACT instant leech meta. Makes sense to nerf it. Life spending Dark Pact builds were dealing too much damage over too large an AoE, granting an already very defensive build very high clear speeds. Yeah, you had like 8 to 10k life and insane DPS and instant leech. It was just kind of weird. Barrage. This is huge. Like, this is a massive nerf. I like this a lot. Barrage no longer has the additional projectile enchantment available in the Merciless Labyrinth. The equivalent endgame Labyrinth enchant now grants +1 additional barrage projectile, down from +2. Existing helmet enchantments are unmodified. Okay, so this line right here means that they go legacy, and they will stay unmodified, right? It also means that because they did not say this line of text in any of these things, that means that they will not go legacy. If they had said existing acuities are unmodified here, they would have gone legacy. If they said that with the vulnerability skill gems, they would have gone legacy. But because they did not include this little disclaimer line, acuities will not be going legacy. The additional projectile made this skill and enchantment combination the superior choice for bow and wand users. We want to ensure that there are several viable options for these characters. So, best in slot helmet enchant for every range attack character, bow or wand, is +2 barrage currently, because it's just such a huge power spike. Normally barrage has 4 projectiles. The helmet enchant gives you additional 2. That puts you at 6. That's a 50% more damage multiplier off your helmet enchantment. And then you can add things like Dying Sun, additional arrow from your quiver, like, what else is there? GMP, LMP, like there's a ton of additional projectile things. Deadeye projectile, just to scale barrage to an insane level that was just way above and beyond every other range skill in the game. So that was nerfed. That's great. What that means for investing, though, if you can get a +2 barrage base helmet, it will be very expensive if you've crafted. If you have a +2 barrage Crown of Eyes, Tempest Binding, Devoto's Devotion, Rat's Nest, Starkonja's, Abysses, any of those helms, they're going to go up in value slowly over time, or I'm sure they've already spiked as this is a couple hours after this has been posted. Even like a base Hubris Circlet can be scoured chance into a Crown of Eyes, and because the VAAL Pact changes now apply to ES, like you can leech with VAAL Pact with ES now to get that double leech rate, ES Wander is going to come back, ES Bow is going to come back, like those items are going to go up incredibly in value. So if you want to invest in them, I advise getting them now while you can, or running Uber Lab as fast as possible. We have a couple days left before Abyss starts as of the time of this video, so if you can get +2 barrage on any helmet that's like relevant, or any helmet at all, it should go up in value over time. Alright, Doomfletch and Doomfletch's Prism. Doomfletch now adds 100% of physical damage as damage of random element, down from 110%. It no longer has increased crit strike chance, and instead has 12 to 16 to 20 to 24 added physical damage. Okay, so they just toned it down. They nerfed the flat fizz, which decreases the total amount of extra element damage you get. It also reduces the crit a lot, which means it's harder to go crit with it, and you just get less overall damage. I think that's fair. Doomfletch Prism now adds 100%, so this is the same nerf, down from 110%, and it has no critical strike chance value now, so none of this is inherent here. Okay. Doomfletch Prism was providing some of the highest damage numbers of any bow in the game. I wonder if they include Brood Twine in that, probably. So it has been reduced. It's likely still the best bow. Interesting. So they gave it like, I would say, what, 10% less damage total? I don't know, maybe the crits, maybe it's like 20%, 25% less damage. It's still an insane bow. It's just not quite as strong, and the barrage nerf hurts it as well as the VAAL Pact changes. So there's a lot of things that are going to contribute to reducing the overall effectiveness of Doomfletch build, and I think that's fair. I did it as my league starter in Harbinger League. I got to level 90 in about a day and a half, and I was just using Tornado Shot, not even using Barrage, but it was deleting everything that I had come into contact with, and I didn't even have it scaled correctly, so I think that's fine. Queen of the Forest nerfs now has 200 to 240% increased evasion rating, down from 380%. That's a huge nerf. That's like 33% less. The movement speed bonus this item can provide has been capped at 100% for all versions. Well, rip the instant 700% move speed Pathfinder lab farmers. You're going to get capped at 100%, so you're probably going to be reduced down to like 250% move speed, 300% movement speed, so that's like huge loss in effectiveness for those builds. Changes to evasion base types in the Fall of Oriath both pushed the evasion rating of this item too high and took the movement speed this item granted to an extreme. We never intended for a single item to be able to provide so much movement speed. Over time, as more movement speed and evasion became available, this item has become unreasonable. True. The movement speed players were attaining was not something that the game was designed to handle. This cap is unlikely to affect average use of this item. Okay, so it's going to leave your average build that uses Queen of the Forest. You're still going to get a bunch of movement speed from it. It's going to be great. The extreme cases like Pathfinders are going to be toned down a lot, so I think that's totally fair. It had like 3k plus evasion or something on a chest piece, not including all your other gear, Jade Flask, or like Synth, or Stibnite Flask, all those other bonuses. I think toning that down makes a lot of sense. Rise of the Phoenix. Okay, this could be an RF nerf. Maximum fire resistance granted has been reduced to 5% from 8%. That's, like, it's hard to explain how much of a nerf that is. That's a huge nerf. Life regeneration has been increased to 15 to 20 per second from 6. Flat life regen is never relevant. This is just, it's just like they're throwing you a bone, but the bone is worth nothing and should be left in the trash. New versions now also grant 40 to 60 life. This cannot be divine. That's actually really nice, giving it a flat life bonus. I like that, sure. This item granted too much maximum fire resistance, more than any other shield provided for any other maximum resistance type. The only other similar thing I can think of is Aegis Aurora, the energy shield on block one. It gives 5% cold res. I want to say Sapple's Frame gives 4% max res to everything, but you lose your block chance to attacks and gets it for spells. So I think that makes sense. They're just kind of equaling the playing field. Made it far too easy to max out fire resistance on a Righteous Fire character, like literally 99 to 100%. Other bonuses on this item have been added or increased to have the item remain useful for other builds. I think I'm okay with that. Like, Righteous Fire will still be able to function with this, just not as early. It'll just like reduce your a little bit of life regen at endgame, but you should still be able to run RF, no problem. It's just going to give you a little bit less. Experience changes for high-level characters. I've always been kind of annoyed at how hard they've been making it to get to 100. Like, they're reducing how much experience you gain at higher levels based on the level of the map you're running, right? I think the problem is more related to how much density and how much you can add with sextants and like map modifiers. Not so much the actual experience gained, like, sorry, the actual experience needed to level. I think the issue is the density, not that. Like, the level of density you can achieve at endgame is ridiculously insane with like Breaches and Beyond and all your sextants. You can get like 15 modded maps in a T16 area, and then you can run all the, it's just insane, like the amount of stuff you can get all at once. Okay, so each league, the race to 100 is over more quickly than the previous one as players become more efficient and the experience available gets larger. Exactly that. We receive overwhelming feedback, including from top racers, that this process should be made longer. We're going to be careful, though, and just adjust it a bit at a time. In 3.1, this takes the form of small additional experience penalties at levels 95 to 99 that have the following effect. So you get 6%, sorry, 95 to 96, you require 6.5% more, and then 11.5% more, 18.7% more, 28.25 experience more, 40% more experience needed. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot. But, I mean, that being said, if you look at the Mayhem Turmoil races, people were achieving level 100 in, I think, all 3 hardcore, softcore, soul self-found stuff in 5 days or less. So if you make that 40% more XP needed, it might push the last 99-100 push from 18 hours to 20 hours to, like, 25 to 30 hours. That's not that huge of a nerf for, like, in-game players. They're just going to grind harder, maybe have a little bit more time to die. But this nerf doesn't really affect your casual players. Most of the more casual players in PoE, from what I've seen, they don't achieve 90, much less 95. Like, pushing past 90 for a casual newer player or like a temp league player is not that common. And so, like, most players will not notice this. It's mostly to affect racers, which I think is fine. They want to make the scene for, like, streaming, for YouTube content, for whatever. They want it to last longer. They want the racing scene to have more hype around it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, here's a list of significant nerfs. Hope we didn't forget any important ones. We have a decent list of buffs to go with it, which will be posted tomorrow in the full patch notes. As I said at the beginning of this video, I will make that video tomorrow when it comes out. But I think that's everything. I mean, I'm okay with all this. It makes sense. I like it. The only thing I don't like is nerfing the leech rate on the tree. I'm totally fine with Slayer. It was 10%, which is insane. But I wish they had added some more maximum life leech rate elsewhere on the tree for, like, caster builds. Like, I would like to see some maximum life leech rate up here, but I think because this is the leech area, they want it to stay localized to duelist, as it's kind of like, that's what it's known for, right? But other than that, I think I'm with all these changes. Like, I'm not upset about any of these. The Barrage thing is an interesting investment opportunity. I don't think Doomfletch is going Legacy. It might, but it doesn't have that line of text that this does, unmodified existing ones, so I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share it with your friends so they can understand what's going on. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. That'll be Demi out.